Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Michael Jordan versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay, long time coming, long time coming. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar against Michael Jordan. So, first of all, I'm going to say this. As far as total NBA accolades, Michael Jordan is number one when we talk about the first team defensive. Well, NBA defensive teams, All Star appearances. What else is it? There's NBA, All NBA. These type of awards, and plus all these other accolades that we're talking about today. Jordan is still number one and was number one after 13 seasons in '98. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is second, and LeBron is number three. Right now, LeBron might end up passing Kareem, I'm not for sure pretty soon because he keeps racking up these all NBA teams and these all-star appearances, you know, this silly in-season tournament that he's in, these type of awards and stuff like that. So I just don't know. But I don't think he'll ever catch Michael Jordan. I'll be shocked. I think he'll have to play like another 5 years. But as far as, when we talk about MVPs, finals MVPs, statistical titles, and defensive player of the year, LeBron, he won't never catch Michael Jordan or Kareem. So this is what I did to compare these two, which, you know, I got Kareem number three, the greatest of all time, and I got Wilt number two. And that's just based on the criteria I was just telling you about. When we put those together, we put championships, finals MVPs, statistical titles, and defensive player of the year. Wilt comes in second. A lot of people don't like that, but the statistical titles alone, right? Like rebound titles, block titles, scoring titles, that alone will tell you that Wilt was the greatest player of all time. One minute you want to, the LeBron fans, they don't want to count championships because it's a team sport. Okay, let's go with statistical titles. LeBron, he wouldn't even be top 10, top 15 player if we just counted statistical titles, right? He wouldn't even be on the map. But I combine all those together, and Wilt comes in two, Jordan one, and Kareem three. But when we look at this, who had the greatest adult career? That's what I'm looking at right here. And I'm not looking at high school, okay? Because I told you my criteria on that one time before. You just can't do that because high school, you're playing the best of who? For an example, when you go to the pros, you're playing the best of college players, right? The best of college players. When you're playing in college, you're playing the best of high school players, right? That's who you're playing. When you're in high school, who are you playing? It's the best of, I don't know, whoever tried out on the team. You know, a lot of those guys will never make it to play on a college team. And then, they might play for a little school, but it's rare that any little school guys even get into the NBA. They would have to be super great. You know what I'm saying? They don't really get no shine like that because they're not playing the best college players. When you talk about the ACC, SEC, those type of conferences, it just goes on and on. You know what I'm talking about? The Pac-12, Big Ten, Big 12, these type of conferences. That's where all the big time players are. Okay, so a lot of these high school players, if you go back and you look at even LeBron James when he played at I forget this academy that he played in, he was playing a bunch of nobodies, always dunking on a bunch of nobodies at that, academy school. I don't know how he got in it. He was supposed to be poor and all this stuff, but academy prep school or whatever like that. But look, I'm not going to include that. If you want to include that, go ahead. But these guys are playing basically against nobody, right? Um, it, it, so let's get into this. When we look at this, there's some glaring things for me about Kareem that he doesn't have that Michael Jordan has in his career, and I was kind of shocked that Kareem didn't have these things, and Michael Jordan did. It came as a surprise to me. Hold on for a second. I need to look up something real quick. So let's look at this real quick. when we look at the championships, both of them have 6 championships. The Finals MVPs, Jordan has what? Four more, four more Finals MVPs. Ouch. MVPs, Kareem has one more. When we look at what is this? National championships in college. Kareem has three, Jordan has one. When we look at scoring titles, Kareem has two, Jordan has 10. When we look at, we'll just go to these different accolades that they both don't have, but they have different ones. Kareem has 4 block titles. Okay, and some people say, well, he would have more, but they didn't count blocks. I forget what year it was, but Kareem would have had more if they would have counted it before that. Jordan had 3 steals titles. Kareem had 1 rebound title, right? Both of them rookie of the year. Okay. What else? Jordan had a defensive player of the year. Kareem doesn't have that. And you would think, as great as he was on defense, you would really think that he would have that award. I guess the competition was really stiff back then. So Kareem has 3 Final Four MVPs. 4 of them. Jordan has 4 gold medals. Two as a pro and 2 in college. That's one of the things that got me about Kareem. If I'm not mistaken, this guy did not have any gold medals. Let me look one more time. I don't see none. If there is any, let me know. He doesn't have any gold medals in Olympics or any other international games. Another thing is, let me see. He was on the All NBA second team a lot of times when I don't think he should have been. Now, that 1985, I will say, okay, he was a little bit out of his prime. I can give him that, but he was on the All NBA second team in 70. Won't beat him up on that because he's just now coming into the league. But when we look at 78, you're on the second team then? We're looking at 79. Nah. We're looking at 83. I guess we can give him 83. No, I don't know. Michael Jordan was on the second team one time, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was when he first came into the league, his rookie season, right? So, let me see. Second defensive team, 1970 for Kareem. I won't beat up on him for that. He's just coming into the league. But 76 and 78 is kind of suspect. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan was on that second team one time. If I'm not mistaken, that was in, what was that? Let me look that up real quick. I thought it might have been 87. Let me see. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Let me see when he was on that second team real quick. That's all NBA. Zero. Michael Jordan was never on an all NBA defensive, well, on an NBA defensive team. Never. Never was on the second team. So I guess that's why, he didn't really get a defensive player of the year. He was on some second teams a lot, but when we look at all these awards since they've been an adult, Jordan really, takes the cake. I mean, yes, Kareem was a better college player, but Jordan was just even, he was so much of a better NBA player than Kareem as far as statistical titles. The international gold, to me, on defense, I know a lot of people's going to say this man's got, 3 block titles or 4 block titles and, he could have had some more if it was counted back then. But Jordan had those three steals titles, 200 plus steals for 6 straight seasons, right? That's crazy. That's nuts. In 100 plus blocks in back to back seasons in 87, 88. I mean, this guy was a menace. I did a video yesterday about his playoff numbers, his entire career, and this guy was a menace, especially from 85 all the way until what 93. This guy was a menace on the offense and defense. So the Finals MVPs, they kind of hurt Kareem, because what it tells you is that this guy had a lot of help, okay, and people outshine him. Even if we give him the MVP that people say that Magic won, that's still only three. Okay, so he had other teammates outshining him in the championship game, just like Curry had other people outshining him in the championship game, right? If those players don't shine like that, does Curry win those championships? I'm not too sure. Even with Durant on that team, let's say Durant takes a back seat, do they win those championships? When we look at 2016, where was Curry? Where was Curry down the stretch? So, I mean, equal dollar, right? If he doesn't shine and shuts down LeBron James, do they win in 2015? Because LeBron took a 2-1 lead going back home without Kyrie. Kyrie got hurt in the first game. So, LeBron took a 2-1 lead going back home. If Iguodala doesn't shut down LeBron to 39% shooting, he ended up shooting like 71% from the free throw line, but 31% from three, like 4 turnovers a game. It was crazy. Like, I think it might have been 3.5. It was something. It was a high amount of turnovers. But if Iguodala doesn't shut this guy down, yeah, he was scoring 35 points per game. But if you're on 39% shooting, wow. Dude was getting shut down. He got a lot of his points on the free throw line, and he took a lot of shots. So I got to go with Jordan on this. Michael Jordan was just a better player. I think his competition for finals or for MVP in the 90s, in the 80s, I think Kareem won, what he won, one in the 80s? But I know for sure Jordan's competition for MVP in the 90s was more stiff than Kareem's in the 70s. I might be wrong, but that's what I know. So, you got two dunk contests right here. I know Kareem couldn't participate in the dunk contest, but it is what it is. Let's see. If we even take Jordan's college championship away in college player of the year, he still beats Kareem right here. He still beats Kareem. And let's say if we just go NBA for NBA career, you would take off, woof, you would take off that third level for Kareem, right? And what would he have left? Well, you would have to take the college player of the year off too. On the top level, all the way to the right, would he be able to be in the same class as Jordan as far as awards, NBA career? No, no. We just talking about NBA. No, Kareem doesn't match up. He doesn't match up. If we was just doing college, yeah, Kareem destroys Michael Jordan. But you got to remember, those UCLA teams, they were loaded. Okay, and then Kareem shows up, and then he to the NBA. He plays with Oscar Robertson. Boom, right off rip. He's playing with Oscar Robertson. Who does Jordan play with when he comes out of college? So Kareem has been kind of more fortunate than Michael Jordan. Even when he went over there to the Lakers, he wasn't playing with Magic, but he eventually played with Magic. Jordan wouldn't eventually play with a guy like Magic. So Kareem has been more fortunate than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had to work, I think, a little bit harder for everything that he got. right? Especially coming into a big man's era and trying to get, show these guys that he wants to be the greatest of all time as a big man. I mean, that's a joke. That's a joke back then. You can't be. You can be great, but you can't be the greatest of all time. You just can't. Not in the NBA, not in the 80s, not in the 70s, not in the 60s, not in the 90s. Even though he made it that way in the 90s, you got to remember when he retired, who was winning? The big man, right? Kareem, not Kareem, Hakeem. Shaq went to the finals. Ewing went to the finals. Who else? David Robinson, Duncan. All these guys was winning championships or going to the finals when Jordan retired. When Jordan came back, he put that on hold. When he retired, they start winning again. So it wasn't like, okay, man, let's do what Jordan's doing. We don't need a big man to be the star. They couldn't do it. You still needed a big man to be the star and win championships. Michael Jordan didn't need that because, it was more like, we grew up and it was like, what they taught is high percentage shot, get the most high percentage shot. So the closer you were to the basket, you know, that's what they call high percentage shot. That's why the centers or power forwards were more involved because this is what I'm going to tell you. Back in the day, they're not just going to let you jack up threes in their face, right? Take a guy like Reggie Miller. He would have to come off like 3 screens and get the ball off and the hand still be in his grill. No, nobody's going to let you do that. NBA was really disciplined back then. If a guy came off of 3 screens, you still would have to follow him off of 3 screens, or somebody would. Nobody's just going to let you sit out there and jack up threes. And that's why we played the more, get the most high efficient shot. That's how it was. Through the post, through the forward, through the center. And Michael Jordan kind of changed that because you just can't sit out there and shoot 50% from the field on 2-point shots with guys draped all over you. Michael Jordan really was the only guy to ever do that to this day. Okay? They basically had to change the rules for these guys so they can become these great 3-point shooters and, great players like that. They had to change the rules for them. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. A lot of, ex-NBA players won't come forward. You got to remember, a lot of these ex-NBA players are getting like pensions and stuff like that. So they're not going to smash on this NBA. They know this NBA ratings is bad. They're not going to smash on their own company that's paying them or the previous owner. The company that they work for, they play for, they're not going to smash on them. They're not going to tell the whole story because it's a brotherhood. But these players aren't as good as the players in the past. And they had to change the rules. So it might look like these guys are better shooters. No, they're not. This era, you can't really play no defense. And these guys are getting paid more money, supposedly. That's another thing. I would like to do a video on that because I'm wondering how these guys are getting record contracts, making more money, and the NBA has the lowest ratings ever. Nobody's watching this. It seems to break ratings, viewership as far as people not watching it every year. It's getting worse and worse. So I'm like, how's a company able to pay their employees more money every year for a failing? If the company is failing, it's a failing product. So I always wonder, like, are these contracts just fake so they can get the fans to pay all this money? Because I'm just wondering. I just couldn't pay my employees crazy amount of money. Even the guys who aren't even superstars. I won't consider Jaylen Brown a superstar, and he got the highest paid contract in the NBA. How does that make any sense? He's not even the top 5 player. So how's he making all that money and the NBA viewership is failing? It just doesn't make no sense to me. So, I mean, people be like, "Oh man, you would that whatever." I'm not. Sometimes you got to use common sense, and sometimes you got to use common sense while people are having podcasts or have to sit at a desk when they retire. If they supposed to have hundreds of millions of dollars and tens of millions, I'm not sitting at a desk. I'll have a business that I own. I got hundreds of millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars, supposedly, right? So why am I going to sit at a desk? That's a job. You just don't show up there. You got to wear makeup. You got to what is it? You got to, I forget the word, but you got to practice and all this stuff. You just don't show up. You got to read your script. Before the what 2 3 days, maybe one day, whatever. You got to read scripts and be ready and see what you're gonna say. You got to practice your script. All this stuff. People just don't show up to the desk and start talking, right? So it seems like it, but it's not like that. So why would I want to do that if I got tens and tens of millions of dollars? It's like me retiring from work. I'm getting pension. I'm getting 401k. I'm getting Social Security, and then I'm gonna just go work for my job again. I'm like 65 years old. That would be dumb. So to me, something else bigger is going on. You know, maybe people need to figure it out. A lot of people are, they only know what you tell them, so they don't know much. But they'll act like they know a lot because they think they're getting told the truth. So Jordan just had a better NBA career, and Kareem had a better college career. But if you put these guys both together, awards, Jordan still was still better. Jordan still was better. Um, I think they had the same mentality, right? When they looked at Will, when they looked at Bill Russell, when they looked at players before them, okay, they knew to be the best what they were going to have to do. They knew they was going to have to be better than Bill Russell. They knew they was going to have to be better than Will. You know, guys like that. And Jordan even came in later, so he knew he was going to have to be better than Bird, Magic, Russell, all this stuff. So these are the things that he did. These are his accomplishments in both of them too, to be the best of all time. Now, for LeBron James, the bar is set really low as far as him because he don't even match up on the NBA career level as far as these two with championships, statistical titles, and different things like that. So MVPs, Finals MVP. So the bar is set low in the LeBron when he retires for anybody to pass him. Nobody will never pass Kareem and Michael Jordan. They just won't, and they won't pass Will in statistical titles. It just won't happen. For Magic, the bar is set really high, but you know these are the top three players of all time. Kareem is three, Jordan is one, and I still got Will at number two. A lot of Kobe Bryant fans are mad, but he doesn't have the statistical titles and a lot of other stuff. So